All right, good evening, everybody. We will now return to our regular session. Welcome. Kim, returning to regular session at, looks like, sorry, I don't have my watch on. We'll call it 6:04. All right, moving on to section 4.1, convene public hearing pursuant to ARS 15-948 and 15-905 to review revision number 3 to the expenditure budget for fiscal year 2022. I do need a motion to convene this public hearing.
I move to convene the public hearing.
All right, I'll second that. So, ladies and gentlemen, just FYI, we do have a couple board members who are joining us this evening remotely. That is Representative Pingarelli as well as Ms. Underhill. So we will do a voice vote this entire evening. Ms. Underhill's not with us yet. Okay, perfect. So, Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. You can run us through a voice vote. That'd be great.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Representative Pingarelli?
Aye.
President Sandoval?
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill is not present. Vote. Dr. Sorensen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. 4 yeas, 1 not present. Ms. Myers, welcome.
Well, thank you, and good evening. President Sandoval, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Reynolds, colleagues, and community. This evening, I will present information related to the third revision for the Peoria Unified School District's operating budget for fiscal year 2022. Tonight, I will review the requirements related to budget revisions, as well as highlight main changes to the maintenance and operations, district additional assistance, and classroom site fund budgets. I will also provide comments on grants and cash-controlled funds, including the district's ESSER grants. Stewardship of community resources is one of the 4 perspectives of the district's strategic plan, and the annual budget process is part of this strategic perspective to solidify and adhere to effective policies, practices, and accountability for district resources. I would also like to acknowledge our budget analyst, Mrs. Veronica Fabella, who was instrumental with her assistance with tonight's budget revision. A public school district must adopt a budget each year by July 15th, and then districts can revise their budgets normally in December and May of each fiscal year. This year, due to the extended legislative session that concluded last June, school districts were required to have one additional budget revision in September to include final budget data for fiscal year 2022. So tonight, we actually are having our third budget revision, where typically there are only 2 during the year. The second budget revision that took place in December and was to make adjustments for ADM and carry forward amounts. And then tonight's revision is required to reflect current and prior year average daily membership adjustments. So there's some enrollment adjustments that are being reflected in tonight's budget revision. There are also adjustments to some of our cash-controlled funds and grant funds to align actual expenditures to budget as we approach the end of our fiscal year on June 30th. Each year in July, when we adopt our budget, we adopt a maintenance and operations, or M&O, expenditure budget, and that's where the majority of the day-to-day operations take place within the district: regular education, special education, expenditures, employee salaries, benefits, supplies, utilities, transportation, and other operational expenses that are not of a capital nature. And in July of each year, when we adopt our budget for those M&O expenditures, again, we bring that forward for governing board approval. And tonight, with this third budget revision, the M&O budget is being increased $221,206, which is mainly due to an ADM, or average daily membership, enrollment adjustment. District additional assistance funds can be used for capital expenditures, and examples include furniture and equipment, athletic equipment, textbooks, instructional aids, computers, and software. In this budget revision, the district additional assistance budget is being decreased $12 to recognize a prior year ADM adjustment. In fiscal year 2022, the Classroom Site Fund supports base pay and performance pay, primarily for certified classroom teachers and other eligible staff. And later tonight, with another presentation, we'll highlight some changes for eligibility with Classroom Site Fund. But for 2022, it's primarily classroom teachers who receive additional compensation, base pay, and performance pay. This budget adjustment in revision number 3 is $809,936 to reflect a JTED, or now more commonly called CTED, student enrollment adjustment. Included in this budget revision is a pending $4.5 million allocation for a grant from the governor's office for school districts that were open for in-person instruction for at least 100 days during the 2020-2021 school year. And at this point in time, we are still awaiting approval, but you will recall that Peoria Unified was one of very few districts that were open starting in early or late, rather, September 2020, and then offered in-person instruction for the remainder of the 2021 school year. In addition, cash-controlled funds and grants have been reviewed, and we are making minor adjustments to align to the ADE grant-approved budgets and, again, expected expenditures for the year. Administration has previously shared that the district has received 3 ESSER grants. Our ESSER 1 grant is basically fully expended, and I'll highlight ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 in this budget revision. ESSER 2, we received $17.4 million. It's a reimbursement grant for eligible expenditures, and with this revision, we've adjusted that budget allocation to $9.6 million. And again, we align to projected expenditures. This budget line item will also continue next year as we continue to expend those ESSER 2 funds. Administration has also previously shared that ESSER 3 is a multi-year reimbursement grant, and Peoria Unified's district allocation was $39.4 million. Again, expenditures range from the beginning of the pandemic, March 13, 2020, to the point that the grant sunsets and concludes in that September 30th, 2024. So all of these are multi-year grants that go back and to the beginning of the pandemic and then expire ratably, with ESSER 2 expiring in 2023 and ESSER 3 in 2024. And for this budget revision, we have adjusted the budget allocation for ESSER 3 downward to $10 million. And again, any unexpended monies will be budgeted next year. The district has aligned a significant portion of our ESSER grants and the opportunity specifically with ESSER 3 to the district's strategic plan and associated plan document, which can be viewed by our community on the website. Based on the information provided this evening, administration will be recommending that the governing board approve the budget revision number 3 for fiscal year 2022 as presented when it is agendized later in the meeting. As this is a public hearing, the presentation is concluding, and at this time, the governing board or community can offer comments. I'm available to answer your questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. I don't have any public comment sheets tied to this line item, so we'll move to our board members. Ms. Hill, any questions, comments for Ms. Myers?
None at this time. Thank you.
No. Dr. Sorensen? No, sir. All right, thank you. Representative Pingarelli?
No, thank you.
All right. Still no Ms. Underhill, right?
No, sir, Mrs. Underhill is not on yet.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't have any questions either. Ms. Myers, thank you very much for your time. And again, as always, your very detailed information.
Thank you.
All right, I do need a motion to adjourn public hearing.
I move to adjourn the public hearing.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. You can run this through a voice vote. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Mrs. Pingerelli?
Aye.
President Sandoval?
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill is not present. Vote. Dr. Sorensen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Motion passes, 4 yeas and 1 not present. Thank you, board members. All right, moving on to Section 6, opening exercises, 6.1, moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Dr. Reynolds, do you mind leading us in the pledge? Thank you. All right, moving on to Section 7, 7.1, address agenda and consider adoption or recommend any changes. Representative Pingerelli, any items on this agenda that you'd like to recommend changes on or adopt?
Oh, no, thank you.
All right, thank you, Representative Pingerelli. Ms. Hill?
None at this time.
Dr. Sorensen? No, sir. All right, so I do have an item, and we have a public comment tied to this. So I'd like to pull 10.8, which is titled Teen Lifeline. And also, just to give the boards a heads up, and Ms. Myers actually spoke to this a little bit. One of our action items, 12.6, the 100-day in-person student instruction, their administration, is recommending that we table that item due to our grant application not being reviewed, or it's still under review by the state. So obviously more information to come. So they're making that recommendation. Okay.
And President Sandoval, and we'll address that tabling when we get to that item.
Yep, absolutely right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ms. Contra. No action needed from you on that particular statement, other than just pulling 10.8, please. I can pause until you're ready, or is it okay to put that in motion?
Thank you, President Sandoval. I have moved that item.
All right, perfect. Board members, I do need a motion to approve the agenda, which includes our consent line items, minus 10.8 Teen Lifeline. I'll move that we approve this evening's agenda and minus 10.8 Teen Lifeline.
I will second.
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by myself and a second by Ms. Hill. If you can run us through a voice vote, that'd be great. Thanks.
Representative Pingerelli?
Aye.
President Sandoval?
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill is not present. Vote. Dr. Sorensen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. 4 yeas, 1 not present. Thank you, board members. All right, moving on. Recognitions, 8.1. Ms. Airy, welcome.
Good evening, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, colleagues, and guests. Tonight we have the pleasure of celebrating individuals who have dedicated many years of service to our students, our staff, our community. You should have received, maybe when you walked in, a program that highlights all of the retirees in our district this year, 139 of them to be exact. I'll share their average years of experience is 30 years of experience in public education and serving our school district, and collectively, certainly their combined experience is thousands and thousands of years of service. These individuals come from a variety of school sites. They hold a wide array of positions, and each one has contributed greatly to the mission and vision of Peoria Unified, ensuring that every student every day is prepared to shape tomorrow. While many of them are being formally recognized by their work site or by their supervisors at those respective sites, tonight we did want to take a few minutes to give them some extra well-deserved recognition for the time and effort they have given to our school district. These stellar staff members have certainly made their mark, and I know we had an opportunity just before your executive session this evening to get to spend a little time with some of them. They were invited this evening for a special reception in our lobby. I know I had an opportunity to talk to many of them and was hearing about plans for retirement, things like golfing, hiking, RV travel, but I was really excited to hear some subbing. So certainly many of them we hope will be invited back. As I shared, we did invite them here this evening. A little thing called a Suns game that was on tonight that may be impacting some of their attendance, but many did join us. And those that are here, I would like to call them by name, ask them to stand so that we can give them a huge round of applause and thank them for their service. So certainly when you hear your name called, if you would stand so that we may applaud you. Brian Burgess from Centennial High School. Joanna Calloway from Saguaro Ranch. April Lair, Foothills Elementary. Kevin Mulhall, Cheyenne Elementary. Leslie Nesbitt, Heritage Elementary. Richard Troy, Peoria Traditional School. And Kathy Wallace from Cotton Bowl Elementary. If you recognize Leslie, I must say we had an opportunity to honor her earlier in the week where she received our Pride of Peoria award as well. So I did want to make mention of that. But to all who are moving on into this next wonderful phase of retirement, we wish you well on behalf of the Peoria Unified School District. We just applaud you for your years of service, and we are so very grateful for all you have given to help support student success here in the Peoria Unified School District. President Sandoval, I will turn it back over to you for any comments.
Yeah, thank you for that, and congratulations to all of you board members. Ms. Hill?
Congratulations, and I'm excited for you. You get to retire and try out a whole bunch of new things in life and travel, so I'm very excited for you, and thank you so much for all of the years of experience and the impact that you've made on the students here at Peoria. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful retirement. We will miss you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Dr. Sorensen?
Yeah, congratulations, and you're never too old to come back. So
That's
if
right.
you get bored on the beach and on the golf course, we got some FTEs open, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Representative Pingarelli?
Yes, I just want to say congratulations and go have a wonderful retirement.
Very good. Thank you for that. Yeah, just want to really ditto everything that's already been said, but they say that every one of our students is one caring adult away from being a success story, and regardless of what capacity that you're in this district, you are part of that impact that has been made, on all the lives of our kids. So thank you for that, and just thank you for your leadership and your human kindness and leading with others in mind and really uplifting our kids. Really appreciate it. And I've always said I still am impacted by the caring adults, teachers, coaches, staff that I had going through the public school system, and the impact that you have on the lives of our youth. It's really never ending. So be proud of that, and thank you again.
President Sandoval, if I may. Also, just from the, Miss Airy did a wonderful job recognizing our retirees, not only the ones that are here tonight, but all across our district. I just want to say as a superintendent, again, thank you for your service, but thank you for choosing to work in public education. Thank you for choosing, what did I hear, average of 30 years? 30 years ago, 35 years ago, 25 years ago, making that choice. So thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing to work in public education. We really appreciate it, and thank you for your time in Peoria.
Yeah. One more round of applause for the retirees. All right, thank you again. Let's see here. I know we do have a Suns game. So if any of you do wish to get them to leave now, more than welcome to. But obviously, we want you to stay as well if you wish. All right, moving on to 8.2, board comments. Ms. Hill?
None at this time.
All right, thank you. Dr. Sorensen?
No, sir.
Representative Pingarelli?
Yes, I actually wanted to congratulate Chuck Fitzgerald for the Visionary Award that I had the honor to go to. He's the Sergeant of Arms at the Capitol. Does a wonderful job, and just wanted to recognize him. And then the Pride of Peoria. I was very happy to go and to honor our great employees. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mrs. Representative Pingarelli. Yeah, agreed. I had the opportunity to attend the Visionary Dinner. Ms. Pingarelli was able to attend as well, and just a lot of great energy. A lot of well-deserved accolades, but I definitely want to really uplift the work that our foundation does, for this district. We have individuals who sit on that foundation and have sat on it for many years, and some of the individuals have, served on this board and served the district in multiple, I guess, varied capacities. And for them to come back and continue to serve this district to drive resources, for scholarships and grants that continue to, really provide those resources for our teachers to just do really great things in the classroom and really enhance a lot of the great stuff that they're already doing. So the Peoria Education Foundation, Ms. Airy, I know you and Aaron are always involved in those meetings. Thank you for your leadership, of that group. I know we have an executive director, but your value that you add to that organization and the success that was realized from a monetary perspective at this year's event is just inspiring, and just congratulations for that. The other event that Ms. Representative Pingarelli brought up was the Pride of Peoria. It's definitely one of the more inspiring events that we have on an annual basis, where these individuals are recognized by their peers and students. And when you're recognized by your peers, I mean, that's a big deal. That says a lot about who you are as a person, who you are as someone who is always by your side, who shows up in a way that they expect for others to show up for themselves. So. It's just it's a great event, and to all the honorees, just congratulations again to being recognized by your peers, and just really proud to sit on this board, like I've always said, and those individuals are certainly part of the reason why. So thank you for that. And the last thing I want to say is, we are in our final days, of this academic year. So it's been another year full of challenges and certainly adversity. So I just want to say thank you to our teachers, to our students, our staff, to our families, just for continuing to collaborate and work together, and just all the acts of human kindness continue to go on in this district that certainly were uplifted, over these last few years is absolutely inspiring. So just thank you to all those individuals, leadership, district leadership, Dr. Reynolds and team. It's just, you've gone through a lot, but you've continued to never waver from why we're here, which is every student every day prepared to shape tomorrow and uplifting our youth and ensuring that they're successful as they leave these walls. So thank you for that. All right, superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Sandoval, Governing Board, Cabinet, and our guests. I would also like to echo our thanks to the Peoria Education Foundation on the work that they do to support teachers and students. The Visionary dinner was extraordinary. My first one being able to hold, so it's even though I've been here for a few years, there are a lot of firsts that are happening for me. So it's exciting and can't wait to participate again in the future. So I'd also like to congratulate Ms. Selena Pacheco, a teacher at Santa Fe Elementary School. She was selected to serve on the 2022-23 Maricopa County Superintendent Teacher Advisory Team, otherwise known as STAT. STAT is an initiative that was created in 2018 in order to increase teacher voice around the education practice and policy, and we're pleased to have one of our very own staff members to attend these meetings. And she will be offering feedback on current issues and challenges that public educators are facing. City of Peoria Mayor Kathy Carlett recently held a Young Artist Showcase at City Hall. Our Director of Arts, Mr. Rob Panzer, attended the reception and recognized all of the students whose artwork was chosen to be on display. Congratulations to our students and their families for this incredible recognition. And again, thank you to the mayor for once again highlighting excellence in arts education. I'd like to also congratulate Liberty High School's girls golf team. For the first time, the girls golf team won the Division I Arizona State golf title, which has now earned them the invitation to compete at the national level this June at Pinehurst Golf Resort in North Carolina, competing against more than 150 golfers from all over the United States. So that's really exciting for that team. This week, I also, for the first time, got to attend Pride of Peoria, where we celebrate employees from around the district. It was great to see these well-deserving individuals who were nominated by their peers, as President Sandoval said earlier, and have a chance to celebrate them for all the things, all of their achievements and everything that they mean to their schools, their departments, and in the Peoria Unified School District. If you weren't there, there are photos and videos up on our district website at peoriaunified.org/Pride of Peoria. I encourage you to go check that out because it was a great event. We also just celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week, Principal Appreciation Week, School Lunch Hero Day, and many, many others. I think today is Nurses Appreciation Day, so thank you to all of our nurses and all of our employees. If you didn't have a chance, hopefully you had a chance to reach out to one of our teachers or support staff administrators who have supported your child and say thank you. I share a deep gratitude for the people across this district. I know our community does as well. Our 2,000 teachers and our almost 2,000 support staff. So we really appreciate all that they do, especially our group who we celebrated a little earlier, those who are riding off to retirement. And we have a last-minute addition to our comments. We have an update on the scholarship totals for the graduating class of 2022. This year, our seniors have brought in a combined total of over $72 million in college scholarships, which is extraordinary. Congratulations to our seniors. I can't wait to celebrate with you on the 19th and 20th out at State Farm Stadium for our graduation ceremonies. Celebrate with your families and your parents and all the teachers and support staff who have supported you along the way. This is an extraordinary class. We're very excited for them. Can't wait to see what the future holds. It'll be very, very exciting. With that ends my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. All right, moving on to Section 9, public comment. 9.1, request to address the governing board regarding matters not included on the agenda. So as a matter of housekeeping, public rules of conduct. The board president shall keep control of the meeting and require the speakers and the audience to refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, applause, protests, or other conduct which disrupts or interferes with the orderly conduct of the business of the meeting. Personal attacks on board members, staff, or members of the public are not allowed. It is inappropriate to utilize a public hearing, the public comment segment, or any other agenda items for the purpose of making political speeches. Engaging in such conduct and failing to cease such conduct upon request of the presiding officer will be grounds for ending a speaker's time at the podium or for the removal of any disruptive person from the meeting room at the direction of the board president. With that said, as always, we will spend 30 minutes on public comment, 3 minutes per individual. The district will respond accordingly to public comment. We do have quite a few, so they have been shuffled, so I'm going to read them in the order that they've been handed to me. So our first public comment comes from Ms. Laura Tepasan.
President Sandoval, board members, Dr. Reynolds, and guests. The teacher we wanted to honor and surprise today has a big school event today. And my child, who wanted to surprise this teacher, has a big performance today. Do you see why we still need the parents? So here I am on behalf of Alexandra, and she wrote, "There are many extraordinary people I have met. These extraordinary people have flipped any of my worrisome days like a card onto the other side, the side where it is nothing but daisies, sunshine, and bright smiles. One particular person this year, Mr. Orlando Moss, the orchestra teacher at my school, Frontier, has shown me the side of the scars that are positive and that I don't need to carry any stress on my shoulders if I could just smile and accept whatever obstacles come my way. I don't even have him as a teacher, but every single day he tells me, 'Hi, doctor.' It all started when he noticed me walking down to the entrance of our school, and he asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was about 11 at that time. I said I wanted to be a doctor, and from that point on, he would call me Doc or play a few medical school graduation song notes on his violin. If I was ever late, he would holler that I must rush to perform the surgery on my patient. I can't miss it. He would go up to other children as well, and he'd tell them jokes to make them giggle, give them treats, tell them how lucky they are to have such wonderful parents. He is that teacher that any child would want to be in his classroom. Whether he knows you or not, he will find something to say off the top of his head to make you smile and carry out the rest of your day with no care in the world. He is the reason why I arrive in my class with a huge grin plastered onto my face. I have finished my long, weary surgery, and I was successful. Thank you. And I would like to add a comment that Mr. Moss is our superhero. And yes, many teachers are superheroes. We love and appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tepasan. All right, our next public comment comes from Ms. Donna Bartos.
Good evening, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, cabinet, and our amazing, robust community. My name is Donna Bartos. I'm the founder and CEO of an organization called Bloom 365, but most importantly, I am the mother of a graduating senior, Peter Bartos, from Sunrise Mountain High School. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of my organization, Bloom 365. I know our MOU was pulled from the agenda for future discussion, but see to it that it is the end of the school year and it's rapidly approaching. I wanted to share with you some of the positive highlights of our work in the PUSD this year. Bloom 365 partners with students, schools, parents, caregivers, and community members to achieve three mutually determined and important goals: prevent abuse and violence in and out of school, promote safe and healthy relationships and well-being for all, protect students from the harms of verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual violence by improving their healing, safety, and emotional support services in and out of school. This year, within the Peoria Unified School District, thanks to funding from the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family, the Department of Public Safety, and individual donors, we educated over 729 students within schools across our high schools in this district. They received our multi-dose education and prevention and healthy relationships curriculum. They learned how to resolve conflicts, how to communicate, how to address bullying, dating violence, sexual violence, and other forms of abuse, peer-to-peer. They also learned how to build self-esteem, and most importantly, how to have the confidence to reach out to a trusted adult on and off campus, at home, and in community if they or someone they know is experiencing any of these issues. We do not tell students what to think, but we do inspire them how to think about these big, complex issues, because some days they will be the leaders of the world. Our curriculum is core standards aligned. In addition to this, with funding from the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, we trained 56 Peoria Unified School District support staff, teachers, social workers, administrators on how to recognize the signs of abuse, how to respond appropriately when students disclose abuse or violence, and most importantly, how to reframe prevention responses in school and out of school so that all students are safe, and most importantly, to ensure that no student at risk for harming themselves or others slips through the cracks. Finally, with the Dignity Health Grant, we are now ready to help the Peoria Unified School District address the over 70 threat assessments that are currently on the rolls across all schools to ensure that students who are exhibiting behaviors of abuse and violence have support too. If students are witnessing domestic violence at home, experiencing dating abuse, have been sexually assaulted, or are the target of bullying and cyber abuse, and do not have access to safe spaces at school or places to report abuse and seek help, their academic futures are at risk. Thank you, board, faculty, staff, and most importantly, students, for working with us to uproot abuse in a generation.
Thank you, Ms. Bartos. Next public comment comes from Julissa Segovia. I'm sorry, to whom? Do you have a green slip filled out? Let me find that real quick. It was Chance Caton, is that correct? Yes. All right, perfect. Thank you.
President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, cabinet and community members. My name is Chance Caton, and I am a sexual violence prevention educator with Bloom 365. I also want to thank the Peoria Unified School District, student support staff, school administrators, and teachers who have collaborated with Bloom 365 over this past school year to proactively address one of the most pressing problems high school students in Peoria and across the country face: teen dating violence. High school students who have been physically hurt by a partner earn grades of C or D twice as often as grades of A or B. Students who have experienced teen dating violence are 25% more likely to drop out of high school than their non-abused peers. Teen dating violence is also associated with an increase in other violence-related behaviors, such as suicidal ideation, substance use, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and risky sexual behavior. This problem directly impacts students in the Peoria Unified School District. Out of the 500 PUSD students who completed our prevention education curriculum in the 2021-2022 school year, 267, or 53%, disclosed that they and someone they know have experienced teen dating violence victimization. 185, or 37%, disclosed that they and someone they know have perpetrated teen dating violence. Of the 289 students who completed the anonymous post survey, 249 of those students said they are more aware of safety and healing resources for teens impacted by abuse or violence as a result of our program. Teens do not access services they do not trust. At Bloom 365, our programs and services alleviate this barrier to safety and support by partnering with PUSD and other districts to provide this important education and provide free and licensed counseling services for students who have experienced, witnessed, and perpetrated interpersonal violence. Together, we will and can uproot abuse in a generation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next public comment comes from Ms. Lexi Berger. Okay. What was the name again? All right, let me find your sheet here. All right, welcome.
President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, cabinet and community members. My name is Greg Kamnitzer, and I'm the program manager of Student Safety Services with Bloom 365. I want to thank the Peoria Unified School District and collaborating student support staff, school administrators, and teachers for proactively supporting Bloom 365's Coordinated Community Response Team model. The Coordinated Community Response Team is comprised of student support staff, counselors, intervention specialists, school resource officers, and community partners who come together once a quarter to proactively address incidents of interpersonal violence, which include bullying, stalking, dating violence, sexual violence, and domestic violence, and ensure students have access to intervention and counseling services. Here are a few more data points from this past school year that indicate why collaboration is essential. Out of 500 Peoria Unified School District students who completed our curriculum in the school year for 2021 and 2022, 197 disclosed that they and someone they know have experienced sexual violence victimization. 126 disclosed that they and someone they know has perpetrated sexual violence. And of the 289 students who completed the anonymous post survey, 249 of those students said that they are more aware of safety and healing resources for teens impacted by abuse or violence as a result of our programming. Out of 500 of those Peoria Unified School District students, 23 disclosed exposure to domestic violence victimization and perpetration. Of the 299 students who completed our middle school curriculum, 185 disclosed bullying victimization, 70 disclosed bullying perpetration. Academic performance is an important parameter in measuring success in students. A key goal of education is to ensure that every student has a chance to excel both in school and in life. Student performances in school depend on the student's mental and physical abilities, which are influenced by other factors. Stability and healthy relationships at home and at school are factors that affect students' learning. The academic performance of any child cannot be separated from the home environment in which that child grows up. This is why we value our continued collaboration with the Peoria Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Next public comment comes from Miss Sophia Macias. All right, let me find his screen slip here. Okay, Mr. Bartos.
President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, cabinet, and members of the community, my name is Peter Bartos, and I'm a graduating senior from Sunrise Mountain High School. During my time at SMHS, I experienced firsthand the need for social emotional support services available at school and during the day, as well as sometimes out of school. As I get ready to attend ASU and study English and continue my education, I just want to give a big thank you to the Peoria Unified School District for allowing students like me to have someone to talk to. And specifically in my instance, there was a social worker at my school named Thomas, and he really, really helped me to not only be more comfortable at school, but to find myself and to find my way around problems that, you usually don't talk about in the classroom. And I'm just so extremely thankful to the Peoria Unified School District for giving me an opportunity to not only have a voice, but to be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Bartos. Next public comment comes from Ms. Susan Yee.
I'd like to defer my time to Christina Giordino.
Okay, Ms. Giordino?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, cabinet, and community members, my name is Christina Giardino, and I am a crisis counselor and helpline manager with Bloom 365. As my coworker Chance mentioned earlier, teens do not access services that they do not trust. When a young person is being molested at home, or when a young person goes to school on a Monday to find out that their best friend has been choked by their partner the night before because they said no to having sex with them, when a young person is feeling like their world is ending and they begin to have suicidal thoughts, it's imperative that these young people know that there are resources and services available to support them through these experiences, whether they're in need of support themselves or if they need support to help a friend. Our free confidential services help to alleviate barriers to safety and support for students in PUSD and other districts that are experiencing, witnessing, or perpetrating interpersonal violence. Through our peer support helpline, where individuals can call, text, or chat anonymously, and through our anonymous elephant in the room question and answer opportunities for students to disclose victimization and perpetration, or to ask tough questions that they don't feel comfortable asking anywhere else, Bloom 365 provides a safe and healing space for students to be validated and supported to encourage the personal, academic, and overall well-being of young people in our communities. Because of our dedication to creating healthy and safe relationships for all individuals, every student, every day, as y'all say, our collaboration with the Peoria Unified School District is greatly valued. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giordino. Our next public comment comes from Ms. Becky Smith. Okay. Let me just find her green slip here. Ms. Rooks, welcome.
Yes. Hello, board members and superintendent. I would like to first thank the board and superintendent for looking into the SAVE contract of the staff training with the 42 vendors and tabling the agenda item tonight. It's important to vet, especially when one company, we've heard tonight, Bloom 365, we have seen that it promotes addressing implicit bias in families and schools. I have emailed you this screenshot so you have it. I wanted to bring attention to the board and Dr. Reynolds a concern with the curriculum resources on the Peoria teacher portal. Devin and I viewed the teacher portal last week at the district office. We were told no copies and no photos were allowed. We saw a list of online resources that can be used in schools for K through 8th social studies. One was called Teaching Tolerance, now known as Learning for Justice. Teaching Tolerance comes from Southern Law Poverty Center, which states its mission is to reduce bias and promote equity in schools through the U.S. They're an anti-bias program. They try to help students shake off the bias that society teaches them and reduce prejudice. So does Peoria Unified believe that their students need to shake off their prejudice? Teaching Tolerance also has difficult time connecting schools with socially conservative environments. I wonder why. These are all on the posters tonight. Another example is they have a lesson on the alternate right and how to teach about the tactics that are used by this group to normalize white supremacy, with a man in a photo with a MAGA Trump hat, which is on this poster board. Another lesson for K through 5th grade is I See You, You See Me, Body Image and Social Justice. This series helps students think about their bodies and body images in a social justice context, kindergarten. A photo of a shirtless man on a magazine is given to K through 5th grade kids, and they have to describe what beauty they see, kindergarten. Newsella is another resource in the Peoria Teacher Portal that states a social studies complex topics collection, including text from the 1619 project. That is directly from their website. Another resource is Notable Social Studies Books, which has books to be used by students. One is a kindergarten book, Race Cars, a children's book about white privilege. I have discussed this with Dr. Reynolds, and I understand these resource websites are available from the Arizona Department of Ed. But the truth is, Peoria is giving permission to allow any teacher to use anything from Teaching Tolerance, Newsella, and the rest to use in the classrooms. It's simple. Take these websites off the teacher portal and send an email to your staff that Teaching Tolerance and Newsella is not to be used in the Peoria Unified School District. Dr. Reynolds, you stated that there was no CRT in Peoria, but clearly there is on the teacher portal resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rooks. Next public comment comes from Ms. Corky Hayes. I apologize, Corky Haynes, correct?
Corrine Haynes, if I'm in trouble. And I may be after tonight, we'll see. President Sandoval, board members, Dr. Reynolds. The enemy is after the seed. I heard that saying and my heart sank because that is exactly what is happening before our own eyes, and it has taken us way too long to become aware of what our schools have become. For years, we, the grassroots grandmas, have been sounding the alarm as we watch the curriculum weaken, scores decline, expectations diluted, and discipline often non-existent. Rigor has become a foreign concept in today's educational establishment. We have approached this district and its administration over these years to give them our sage and experienced advice. Go back to the basics and teach what has been proven to work. Spalding phonics, Saxon math, good classical literature, real science, and a chronological history of America, which fosters a love and respect for our great nation. Doing this, we said, would bring this district back to greatness. Did you listen? No, you didn't. Who did you listen to? Money-hungry teachers' unions? Woke corporations and any groups that could make money off of us unwitting taxpayers? Political parties who have no problem indoctrinating our children for their own benefit? I'll tell you who you didn't listen to, the grassroots grandmas. And all those parents and grandparents out there whose sole purpose in life is fostering a promising future for our children. When I taught not so long ago, 3 simple rules worked in my classroom. Always be kind, have a good attitude, never give up. That's all I needed in my classroom. Most kids got the rules, and the few that didn't were usually remedied by a phone call home to mom or dad. We didn't need to spend thousands of dollars on SEL programs or curriculum to teach our kids what was acceptable behavior or how to treat one another. They understood the golden rule. One of my many roles as a teacher was to emphasize the importance of positive self-talk and encourage them to be the best they could be. We let kids be kids. Today we seem to be hell-bent on messing with our kids' minds and paying a whole lot of money to do it. Our kids are not racist, nor do they see equity problems. They see everyone as having opportunities for the mere fact that they live in America. They know if they work hard, good things will happen. My grandson just graduated from high school with 3 friends who have been together since kindergarten. The 4 of them went on a senior trip together. 1 black, 1 Hispanic, 1 redheaded, freckled, and Carter, my grandson. Never once did they question their friendship or loyalty to one another, and no CRT curriculum will corrupt them or turn them into victims or adversaries.
Thank you, Ms.
Get rid of
Haynes.
any CRT curriculum in this district. You're wasting your
Thank
money
you.
and causing
Minutes. Ted.
Okay.
Actually, she's exhausted her 3 minutes within this public comment
Okay.
section.
Do you want to finish reading it for me when I call you? Okay.
right, last public comment, Ms. Jody Brackett.
Parents, it's time to mobilize. We have been misled, lied to, or just simply ignored, and it's our kids who are paying the price. The data is now abundantly clear that closing down our schools and forcing children to wear masks was very detrimental to our children academically, socially, mentally, and developmentally. And even though we knew school closures and wearing masks would not stop or prevent COVID, save lives, or flatten the curve, the teachers' unions kept pushing it. Why? Why are we moving away from basics and insisting on indoctrinating our children with programs like CRT, SEL, and any other woke idea that comes their way? Enough. I am respectfully requesting an audit of our curriculum and resources to not only identify any programs that are biased, misleading, harmful, or useless for our children, but also the cost of these programs to we, the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brackett. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes public comment for this evening. All right, we are moving on to Section 11, items removed from the consent agenda. 11.1, Teen Lifeline, Inc., Memorandum of Understanding. We do have public comment tied to this line item. We probably don't have any district, okay. All right, so that said, Ms. Melissa Ewing, welcome.
This is for the agenda that was pulled, the agenda item that was pulled?
It is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what you have listed on your green slip is Teen Lifeline 10.8.
Right, right. So I'm Melissa Ewing. I'm coming to talk to you today about the Teen Lifeline. I understand it was pulled from the consent agenda. I came up here to say I was really excited that the district had identified the need to address our students with social and emotional needs in the district and to have a program such as this. When the pandemic was going on and schools were closed, there was people from both sides of the aisle who said that there was a lot of had concerns for depression and anxiety, suicide, ideations. I don't know what happened to the timer.
Go ahead.
But suicide ideations happening as a result of things being closed. Do I need to? Okay. All right. So I was really excited that the district saw the need to address the students who, because we have a lot of students who have increased anxiety, increased depression, a lot more suicidal ideations, and a program like Teen Lifeline can provide services, professional services to any student that is within the school that is having problems with those items. And so I was upset to see that it was pulled from the agenda. Hopefully it will be addressed. But there are, if this type of program can save just one life, it's worth it. And that many people from both sides have said the teachers shouldn't be the ones handling the emotional issues that come to them. But when there's not enough professionals on campus to be able to handle it, the teachers get left handling this. Something like the Teen Lifeline on the program would make the teachers feel comfortable that they can refer the students someplace else where somebody is certified as a professional to treat that type of thing. One of the things that Peoria says that their mission of the district is excellence in teaching and learning, and that in order to for students to be able to learn, they must have a connection to their campus and an environment where they feel safe and secure. That type of program will offer that to them. So I urge you to try to put this back on the agenda to bring it back to the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ewing.
President Sandoval.
This item was in consent, and it actually is part of our agenda today. So is that what you were going to? Okay, yeah, so at this point, thank you for your time. Board members, any questions, comments on this particular line item? Ms. Hill? No? Dr. Sorensen? No. Do we have Ms. Underhill with us yet, or?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. Representative Pingarelli, any questions, comments on 11.1, which is the Teen Lifeline Memorandum of Understanding?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. That said, I don't have any questions either. So that said, I do need a motion to approve the Team Lifeline, Inc. Memorandum of Understanding.
I move to approve the Teen Lifeline, Inc. Memorandum of Understanding 11.1 to the consent agenda.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. If you can run us through a voice vote, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Representative Pingarelli.
Aye.
President Sandoval.
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill is not present. Vote. Dr. Sorensen.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Motion passes 4, 1 not present. Thank you, board members. All right, moving on to section 12, action items 12.1, consideration of administrative appointment, principal of Lake Pleasant Elementary School. We'll pause for a second here, Ms. Vesely. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a great evening.
President Sandoval.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we move forward, Mrs. Underhill is ready to join.
Perfect. Thank you. She's with us now. Okay, gotcha. Ms. Vesely, if we can pause just for a second to allow Ms. Underhill to connect, that'd be great. Welcome, Ms. Underhill.
Thank you.
All right, just to a point of reference is where we're at in our agenda. We are on action items, section 12, 12.1, consideration of administrative appointment, principal of Lake Pleasant Elementary School. Ms. Vesely, welcome.
Thank you, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds. Tonight, I'm excited to bring forth for consideration and approval Mr. Aaron Bagwell as Lake Pleasant Elementary's next principal. I'd like to share that Mr. Bagwell started his career here in Peoria as a teacher at Ira A. Murphy Elementary School and Centennial High School, starting back in 2005 through 2012. He then became assistant principal here at Ira A. Murphy Elementary School for 5 years, between the years of 2012 and 2017. Most recently, Mr. Aaron Bagwell has been serving as a principal in the Cave Creek Elementary District for the last 5 years. We're excited to be bringing Mr. Bagwell's name forth for consideration tonight. We're excited that he has chosen to come back to Peoria and to be serving our Lake Pleasant community. At this time, I ask that you approve this recommendation of Mr. Aaron Bagwell to serve as Lake Pleasant Elementary School's next principal, effective July 1, 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Vesely. Board members, do you need a motion to approve the administrative appointment of Lake Pleasant Elementary School?
I move to approve the appointment of the administration of the principal at Lake Pleasant Elementary School.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. If you can run us through a voice vote, that'd be great.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Representative Pingerelli?
Aye.
President Sandoval?
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill?
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, I come to you extremely humbled and excited to return to where I started as a young educator. You guys had a really good recruiter, I should point out, my wife, Stacy. It was very encouraging for me to return, and I definitely jumped on board and excited to bring back. I grew a lot with the 5 years that I was away in Cave Creek, and I will be honest, in our private meetings with leadership, I don't know, I could not tell you how many times I said, in Peoria, we used to, as we tried to tackle some of those problems. And so I was always, these are where my roots are, this is where I grew up, and so I'm excited to come back and bring the learning and the passion that I have for students and the community that I actually live in. So it's going to be the first time in my career that I'm going to serve my community. I'm extremely, extremely excited about that. And I also like to introduce the other reason why I'm coming back home. I have three wonderful children. Taylor is going to be a senior next year at Liberty High School. And my twins, Jacob and Caitlin, they're going to be sophomores at Liberty High School. So it's going to be great to be this close to watch them grow with the few years I have left with them in my house. So thank you once again for the approval. And I'm excited to get started as soon as possible. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Welcome, board members. Questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
Well, congratulations and welcome back into the fold. I'm assuming your commute is going to be greatly improved.
Absolutely.
With gas prices, you can't do better than being close to home. So, but we're very glad to have you back, and it sounds like your experience is going to be fruitful here at PUSD. So, congratulations and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Dr. Sorensen?
Yeah, congratulations. 100% of my interactions with you when you were here and I was here were positive. Everyone says nothing but positive things, so I'm geeked you're back, and congratulations. And I'm glad serving your community is like the best thing you can do, and I think a huge component to a fulfilling life when you're in your career. So I think that's great, and congratulations to the whole family, and welcome back.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Representative Pingerelli, questions, comments?
I just also want to say congratulations and welcome back to the district.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Pingerelli. Ms. Underhill?
Yes, I just want to say it's great to have another Bagwell back in the family, and we're really grateful for you and excited about your experience and kind of the outside perspective that you've gained, and just greatly, greatly appreciate the dedication of your whole family. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Absolutely, congratulations. My question is for your children, with Dad being so close now during hours, during the day, how does that feel?
You can just see their excitement, can't you?
Well, I'll say this. I'm sure the conversations at the dinner table competing, schools, Oakwood, Lake Pleasant, and, who's better, those will be fun, and that banter going on. But welcome back. The experience that you realized, although you plugged a lot of the best practices and what goes on here in Peoria in those meetings, up in Cave Creek, but I'm sure there were some potential best practices or lessons learned on some things that they may do that you'll bring to us, and and that's how we grow, by just continuing to ask questions every day, be curious, and be continuous learners and continuously improve. So welcome back. I'm looking forward to what you do and the successes that you have at Lake Pleasant. Obviously, it's a growing school. That community is growing a ton. So a lot to consider out there, but I feel that you're the person to take that school to the next level, and welcome back, and congratulations again.
All right, thank you. And I would echo that. I learned a lot being out there as well. And so it was good to kind of get that outside perspective from multiple districts. There's multiple people who come from all over the place, and it was nice to be in a nice small district that those collaborations were extremely rich, and I learned a ton. And yeah, like I said, I'm excited to bring it back, and I'm fully confident that I'm going to be able to lead that school and face any challenges that it might face, and I'm excited to get started. So,
yeah, excellent. Well, welcome again. Congratulations.
All right.
Work Clyde. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fesley. All right, moving on to 12.2, consideration of revision number 3 to the Maintenance and Operations District Additional Assistance and Classroom Site Fund budgets for fiscal year 2021-2022. Ms. Myers, I know we've gone through a lot earlier. Anything else that you would like to add?
Thank you, President Sandoval, members of the board. Dr. Reynolds, no, I do not have any additional comments to add. Thank you.
Okay. Board members, questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
None at this time. Thank you.
Dr. Sorensen?
No, sir.
Ms. Underhill?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Pingarelli?
No, thank you.
All right. I don't have any further questions, comments either. With that said, I do need a motion to approve 12.2, the revision number 3 to the Maintenance and Operations District Additional Assistance and Classroom Site Fund budgets for the fiscal year 2021-2022. I'll move that we approve 12.2.
I will second.
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by myself, a second by Ms. Hill. If you can run us through a voice vote.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Representative Pingarelli.
Aye.
President Sandoval.
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill.
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Ms. Myers, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 12.3, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of a settlement agreement regarding case number CV 2020-014673, Margaret Omis versus Peoria Unified School District. I do need a motion to approve the terms of the settlement agreement negotiated between the parties. Margaret Omis versus Peoria Unified School District et al., case number CV 2020-014663.
I move that the governing board approve the terms of the settlement agreement negotiated between the parties in Margaret Omis versus Peoria Unified School District, case number CV 2020-014673.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. If you can run us through a voice vote.
Representative Pingarelli.
Aye.
President Sandoval.
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill.
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. All right, moving on to 12.4, fiscal year 2023 budget development and compensation recommendations. Ms. Myers, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good evening again, President Sandoval, members of the governing board, and Dr. Reynolds. Thank you for the opportunity to provide summary information that has been presented previously to the governing board on April 14th related to budget development work for the fiscal year 2023 budget, as well as compensation for our staff here in Peoria Unified. Tonight, I will briefly provide a summary of the information that was shared on April 14th, as well as summarize the district's budget process, considerations, priorities, and progress to date, as well as the compensation recommendations for next year. I've shared previously that employee stakeholders are part of our budget development and compensation process through input that takes place during budget team meetings with stakeholder representation from all of our employee groups, including teachers, administrators, and support staff. The budget team is not a committee of the governing board. It's a working group of employees who are brought together to provide recommendations to administration, input on compensation increases and budget priorities, stipends, new positions, staffing modifications, and benefit renewals each year. And of course, all final budget recommendations that administration brings forward are approved by the governing board. A key consideration to compensation priorities is to evaluate multi-year progress. And we've shared before, it's not a one-year activity. It's progress over time when it comes to compensation and compensation-related priorities. And on this slide, I'm highlighting past outcomes where we've had priorities, including salary schedule enhancements over the last few years, a continued focus on compression, and priorities related to classified staff as well as our certified staff. Also, it's important to note the progress that's been made with base pay increases in recent years. We review this annually, and over time, if you look at the progress that's been made, it truly does provide a true picture of the work that we've done. Over the last several years, combined compensation increases by employee group have ranged from 22.01% total increase to 30.87%. During the fiscal year, I have presented several budget updates to the governing board, including the comprehensive update on April 14th, highlighting the recommendations. The governing board has asked to have 2 meetings to consider recommendations. So that April 14th meeting was an overview. Tonight we're coming back with formal recommendations that will be highlighted over the next several slides, including the information that was used for budget projections and budget development related to the actual recommendations being brought forward this evening. And of course, the classic slide I like to use, the scales, the comparison of internal and external factors that go into our budget development. Incremental funding increases from the state to support base support level funding. We, of course, are funded based on our enrollment, average daily membership. Those enrollment levels are important. They can impact our annual funding each year. Of course, new state funding also is considered if available. Minimum wage increases are always a consideration. Employer paid benefit costs, utilities, fuel costs. That's something we've been focused on. This year we've seen increases. Contracted service costs and inflation. I've previously shared it's at 8.5%. Nationally, in Arizona, I've heard reports it's actually higher, closer to 10%. So that's something impacting every employer, including Peoria Unified, and it is also something that we've considered with our budget development. Budget recommendations are based on projections from the state of Arizona and the state's fiscal 2023 budget. To date, information that we've received has been considered, as well as the continuation of our 13% M&O override that is really essential to the work that we do. That override was renewed by our community in the fall of 2020. And of course, this pro forma I've shared before assumes no increase in ADM or enrollment. It's a static amount, a conservative approach. At this time, we believe at a minimum new funding from the state, inflation funding will be capped at 2%. That is a statutory cap. In addition, district additional assistance is officially fully restored. It's prospective, not retroactive restoration, but it is restored, so that is included in our pro forma. An open item, of course, is that the legislature is still in session and a final budget for the state of Arizona, including an education budget, is pending. Examples of additional considerations that are embedded in this pro forma is a decrease in the Arizona State Retirement System contribution amount for both the employer and employees. It's a 0.24% decrease. That we're estimating will save the district approximately $425,000 a year. So that's good. That's a decrease. And then our benefit cost increase that was previously presented and approved by the governing board, a $3.3 million increase, is included in our budget projections for next year and will be paid for from a combination of indirect cost, M&O, and our carry forward with Valley Schools Employee Benefit Group net position. Also, we look at insurance, our general liability insurance. We're planning on a $500,000 increase, as well as fuel costs. If next year trends as was the case this year, it could be as high as $750,000. Our custodial costs, we believe, will increase by a similar amount as they did this year at $385,000, and our sub costs went up last year. Direct correlation to the pandemic. We certainly hope that won't be the case next year, but we do have a contingency for it, hoping that the pandemic has kind of flattened out. And we are planning for a minimum wage increase in January of 2023. And so with all of that background information, again, with the district being based on student enrollment and the funding formula that is in place for the state, we are projecting $5.6 million of new M&O funding and $17.2 million of capital funding, again, with that 2% inflation funding increase. I've shared before the delta, 2% is not the same as 8.5%, which is the actual inflation rate at this point in time. And so with that, we've done work so far this fiscal year. The board has approved several compensation recommendations earlier in the year. These priorities have been approved and have benefited employees, including additional recruiting and retention stipends and an increase to bus driver compensation in the fall, as well as a classified hourly mid-year pay increase. I highlight those because those actions and the pay increases in particular then become part of the compensation that is basically in place for any new raises that then would become part of our fiscal year 2023 compensation package. And so in addition to the work done earlier in the year on March 10th, a retention stipend based on longevity was also approved by the governing board to recognize employees who return their contract or letter of reasonable assurance on time and return to work in the new year to begin their work assignment. And that stipend ranges from $500 to $2,000, again, based on years of service. So that's what has been approved to date. On the 14th of April, I did share additional information for discussion purposes on recommendations from the budget team to administration that we're bringing forward tonight. The first is the budget team and administration are recommending a 3% increase for all employee groups to their base pay. They have to be eligible per policy. The employee needs to have been with the district for a certain period of time to be eligible for the raise. So again, that's contingent on policy. And again, we've shared this on the 14th, and we're asking for formal approval this evening. Another priority was the classroom site fund compensation. And during last year's legislative session, a new law was passed on how classroom site fund monies can be expended beginning in fiscal year 2022. Last year, our budget team and administration did not recommend any action in this area, but this year it was a focus. It includes expanded eligibility for not only classroom teachers, but student support service positions based on a function 2100 criteria. And you heard us talk about classroom teacher, function 1000 for certain statutorily driven funding opportunities. Now that 2100 is an important consideration. So again, we are basing these recommendations on pro formas, information that has been released by the Joint Legislative Budget Committee to school districts and the state, and we have put forth projections. The estimated amount per weighted student count is $708 for next year. Now, this is a decrease of $25 from fiscal year 2022, which was $733. We shared last year that there was some one-time money included in that amount, and so we were very conservative and didn't expend those one-time dollars because if they don't continue, you don't want to budget for them. And fortunately, that one-time decrease actually landed at $25. And so a minimal amount, we're moving forward with recommendations. And accordingly, the fiscal year 2023 classroom site fund budget is being developed with the full $708 per weighted student count, or $8.4 million of funding. Recommendations from the budget team to administration includes the continuation of the optional certified classroom teacher work day with an estimated cost of approximately $600,000, again coming from classroom site fund. In addition, the recommendation includes a 10% increase to the base salary amount paid from classroom site fund. Now, it's important to delineate what does that mean. An average teacher's salary includes approximately 8.7% of their salaries from classroom site fund. So that 8.7% is increasing 10%. We don't want to confuse it that it's a 10% raise across the board. It's a 10% increase to that small percentage. And this change would result in an average increase of approximately $453 a year to teachers who are already receiving classroom site fund dollars. The new estimated average classroom site fund base level compensation would be $4,985. The cost of the 10% increase to classroom site fund funding for current staff is $1.9 million. Recommendations also include providing all newly eligible student support services staff with a classroom site fund base support level that aligns with the current certified teacher classroom site fund compensation structure. And the estimated cost of this change is $900,000. During the budget meetings over the last few months, performance pay and merit pay were also reviewed. The budget team's recommendation to administration is that actual performance pay amounts should remain unchanged going into next year, but all newly eligible staff should be part of the evaluation process in fiscal year 2023 to be eligible for performance pay with an estimated cost of $504,812. During the budget development process, schools and departments across the district submitted staffing changes requests as well as stipend requests. And for next year, those initial requests totaled in excess of $4 million. The new requests were submitted for review through our Human Resources Department and our administrative team. And then reporting back to our budget team, we have a population of positions and stipends and reclassifications that have been approved by the budget team through administration that we're bringing forward as part of our recommendation. The new stipends, positions, and reclassifications are detailed on the following 3 slides. Evaluation criteria included if the actual job had changed, external compensation for similar positions, and prevailing external wages, or a combination of these factors. The food service related reclassifications will be funded from the National School Lunch Program grant that the district receives each year that supports our food and nutrition program and is estimated to cost $150,000. In addition, the district's Chief Technology and Operations Officer is currently starting to evaluate a technology department reorganization that will allow the district to be more competitive and to address hiring challenges for technology professionals. The initially identified approach is planned to be budget neutral. In addition, a reorganization analysis has started for our Facilities and Operations Department to address shortages of key positions for maintenance and groundwork employees. Again, initial projections show that this reorganization has the potential to be budget neutral. Administration, we've shared previously, also reviewed our positions in the Director 1 and Director 2 grades per se, and Mrs. Vesley will speak to grades in this area during her presentation. But the outcome was evaluating our current positions and responsibilities over time. Both the Director 1 and Director 2 classifications have really become one director level position. And that's the recommendation, that there should only be one director level position in the district. At this time, there's one director, one employee who would need to be moved up, who's below the minimum of the $81,354 amount, director 2 minimum salary amount. And so with that movement, the cost is less than $1,500, and we'll officially have one director level position. The former director 1 position would then be renamed as an assistant director, and min-max would be changed to hiring range. The fiscal year 2023 budget development has been based on new funding projections and known expenditure considerations to date. Compensation recommendations that have been reviewed tonight can be covered by the projected new funding for fiscal year 2023 and would not require a transfer from capital to M&O. We believe it's covered with the new dollars, the minimum funding that we're calculating, and the estimated M&O cost of the reclassifications, reorganizations, stipends, and new positions that we summarized in the prior slides is approximately $120,000. I've shared previously and can report tonight that the 2022 legislative session is still underway. And there are many factors that could potentially impact the final fiscal year 2023 budget development. If there is additional funding that is made available for public education at the end of the legislative session, it will be analyzed by administration, and the budget team may be reconvened to provide input on priorities for any new funding. But based on current funding formulas and our pro forma, what we've brought forward, we believe it is a minimum amount that will be received. And then there's the aggregate expenditure limit. That too has not been addressed beyond fiscal year 2022 as an ongoing concern. And so we're mindful of that as we bring forward our recommendations and finalize our budget development. And we'll be proposing our budget in June to the governing board. And as you can see on this slide, and we've shared before, we have contingency areas, relief valves that we've identified that if there is a challenge next year in this area, as was the case this year before the legislature took action, we would be able to adjust that concern. And it's not clear at this time if the matter will be addressed by the legislature or potentially be referred to the voters in November. And so, again, we also continue to have priority areas with our budget team and administration that will continue in future years. And with that, that concludes the presentation. I am available to answer your questions at this time, and we do ask for the governing board to consider taking action on these recommendations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers, as always. Board members, questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
Yes, thank you for putting all that together. I know it's quite a bit of work, and obviously it's a little bit complicated right now with the aggregate expenditure in particular. My biggest question is, I realize that we are, in the process of figuring out budget, and we are going to be giving, some raises and increase in stipends. My question is that really wise? Should we hold off on that until we know what to expect with the outcome of the aggregate expenditure? Because I see the list of what we'll have to do in 2023, which includes obviously hiring freezes, but pay reductions and things like that. And I thought, well, maybe we could adjust for that if, I don't know. So I just wonder, we're taking a bit of a gamble. So I'm just wondering, is it wise to, give raises, or maybe we should reduce the raise a little bit until we can see where we're at before we get in over our head with the aggregate expenditure?
Thank you, President Sandoval. Mrs. Hill, thank you for that question. I know you had a similar question on April 14th, and my response remains the same. We feel confident that with this new funding, it covers these compensation recommendations. We also know that we have to have continuity operations, and I'm seeing firsthand the challenge we're having, not only hiring staff, but in some instances the competition from, be it non-education employers or sister districts. Districts have already put forth their increase or opportunities they have with recruiting stipends, industries offering higher amounts. It's a difficult environment, and we have to ensure that we're not only retaining our staff, but we're able to also recruit, hence the reorg work that I highlighted earlier. It's essential that we bring these recommendations forward at this time. People are dealing with inflation, they're dealing with uncertainty, and if we don't finalize our minimum compensation recommendations, that would be impactful to the district.
Thank you. Yeah, I do understand all that. So I'm just trying to make sure, financially we're stable and we're not making, decisions. It's tough, like you just said, that we're competing against other districts that are raising the bar and we're trying to meet it. And it's just a tough place to be at. It's too bad in a weird way that we don't all just kind of hold the fort just a little bit longer until we can see where we're at in 6 months, and then we can make better decisions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Dr. Sorensen?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Underhill, questions, comments?
Sorry. No, I appreciate the conservative process that you've used to put this together, and I completely agree that it's absolutely critical that we do go forward with our plan, just so that we can remain somewhat competitive. I just have one question around the Classroom Site Fund. And this may be more for the next presentation, but is the Classroom Site Fund that's embedded in our initial salary levels, is that correct?
Thank you, President Sandoval. Mrs. Underhill, that is correct. When you look at the salary schedule for teachers, for example, it's a combination of all funding sources, including M&O, Classroom Site Fund, and instructional improvement, also known as gaming. And so with our next agenda item, Mrs. Vesely will highlight some of the adjustments if the board approves these recommendations. So yes, it's a combination of multiple funding sources.
Thank you for that. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Representative Pingarelli?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh, hopefully I framed this right. And just piggybacking on Ms. Hill's question, right? I mean, there's no doubt, look, as a business services team, department, you are always very diligent in not only where we sit today, but, what may be coming around the corner, right? 3 to 5 years. So certainly appreciated. So with the additional funding, and the AEL still obviously a possible impact, right, on our district. I mean, that is going to be a factor regardless, but I guess my question is that being a factor lessened by moving forward with these decisions, if we lose some dollars going into the next academic year, right, the 2022-23 year, is the impact lessened, by making these decisions today? And I agree with what's been said about from a competitive perspective and making sure that we're hiring, retaining, absolutely, and absolutely in agreement with everything that's in here from an increased perspective. But I'm also wanting to just can you just talk a little bit about, I know you had a listing of the impact of the AEL, right? If we lose those monies. But from I guess, is it lessened at all? I mean, are we looking at the same dollar amount, I guess, in the 2022-23 year that we may have lost this year as it relates to the AEL? Maybe that's the question.
There's a threshold with the AEL at a state level, and then there's a proportionate amount district by district. So it's hard to project if it would be the same or lower. Again, we've previously shared one of the reasons why that threshold has been reached is several factors. The restoration of funding cuts in past years, the 20 by 20 additional funding, as well as Classroom Site Fund, which was formerly Prop 301, no longer being excluded from the formula. So there are a number of factors. I can't project today or predict what our dollar amount would be, but what I can say is every public school district has the same question. And so it's important to have contingencies identified if, for whatever reason, be it the legislature or if it's referred to the voters, there's not ultimately a long-term fix. But if indeed there's not a fix, it would take a couple of years to reduce down and say this is our new normal, and that too would be impactful. So we're nimble, we're prepared, we need to move forward, and we'll navigate that consideration moving into the new year.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense. And again, for me, what I do appreciate, which I've said before, is how we're going in a trajectory to prioritize our people, right? And making sure that, they understand, that as a district, they are absolutely valued and respected. And, while their paychecks certainly don't equal the value that they add to the district, I know we're moving in that direction. So, absolutely appreciate that. Thank you. Dr. Reynolds, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, there are some unknowns, but I believe this board has confidence in Ms. Myers, and I have the utmost confidence in Ms. Myers, and I know how I feel about this, but we would not bring a recommendation to the board that we weren't confident that we would be able to support, regardless of what the future holds. So it would mean addressing some of those issues, but we have a plan and contingency plan to be able to address those issues.
Yeah, got it. No, and agreed 100% with that statement. All right, with that said, if no further questions, comments, I do need a motion to approve 12.4, which is the fiscal year 2023 budget development and compensation recommendations.
I move to approve 12.4 fiscal year 2023 budget development and compensation recommendations.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. You can run us through a voice vote.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Representative Pingarelli?
Aye.
President Sandoval?
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill?
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Ms. Myers, thank you. All right, moving on to 12.5, Peoria Unified Salary Schedules and Extra Duty Special Assignment Salary Schedules for the 2022-2023 school year. Ms. Vesley, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening again, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds. Tonight I am bringing before you our 2022-2023 proposed salary schedules for all employee groups. What I'd like to do is just quickly go through some of the changes to help you understand anything that was highlighted in red are changes based off of the budget team's request and our previous agenda item that was just approved. We're going to start with the administrative salary placement schedule that you have in front of you. Here you will see that we are removing the Director 2 and just naming it Director. We're getting rid of the Director 1 and adding the Assistant Director position. And over on the far left where you see the grades, those are antiquated and we no longer use those in our vision system. So the recommendation is we're just going to remove those. They don't have any part within the vision system. And for our administrator groups, we go by our description of our title of our position. And then also at the bottom, you'll notice, if we can scroll down just a little bit, that we are removing the $1,500 given for the National Board Certified Teacher Certification. That is for our certified staff members. So we're going to remove that off of here. I think that was an oversight. If we go to the certified initial salary placement schedule, thank you. And here, again, there are not a lot of changes other than you're going to see, in the past we've called our classroom site funds Prop 301, Proposition 301s. We're changing that just to classroom site fund dollars. We are changing Indian gaming to instructional improvement, the new names that Mrs. Myers talked about earlier, and that is our gaming. And then you'll also see the $1,500 annual stipend given for the National Board Certified Teacher Certificate. That is something that's on our stipend spreadsheet. It's always been there, but we recognize that it was not on this salary schedule for certified staff, so we just wanted to add it so that it mirrored our stipend spreadsheets that we'll go through in a little bit. Other than that, there are no changes. If we could open up next the Board Certified Behavior Analyst. This salary schedule last year was on the same page as our school psychologist, and our special ed department requested that it be separated, and it was also kind of pushed in together with our occupational therapy, and it didn't really make sense. So we wanted to create just a separate page and have the Board Certified Behavior Analyst separately. You'll notice in red that the amounts have changed, and they've changed because of the Classroom Site Fund expanding, and our BCBAs are in that newly eligible group. And so we've worked on the back end with our payroll department and Mrs. Myers to add the Classroom Site Fund dollars into those ranges, those min and max ranges. And if I'm remembering, Mrs. Myers, it was an estimate of approximately anywhere maybe between $2,000 and $3,000 for each of our groups. And so when we go to make those recommends to hire and we're talking salary, this salary here now has embedded the Fund 11 and Fund 13, which is the Classroom Site Fund. And then you'll notice the same language here, that they are eligible for Classroom Site Fund, that it is embedded in this salary, and that they are eligible for performance pay. This will be the first year that our BCBAs are eligible for performance pay, and so we'll be working on getting that evaluation updated. If we go next to the Certified Occupational Therapist and Physical Therapist salary schedule. Here you notice at the top that we did remove a bachelor's degree, and that is because they are now required to have either a master's or an earned doctorate. So we wanted to remove the bachelor's because it is no longer part of any program. They must have a master's or doctorate's degree. You'll see also that the classroom site funds were added to the salary schedule, so Fund 11 and 13 is now embedded in that salary. The other area, last year, we had approved through the budget team that they have specialty certifications, much like our national board certification for our teachers. We wanted to specify what those specialty certificates were that are very similar to the process of going through national board certification. So there were very specific ones that were discussed last year. We wanted to make sure we added those so that there's no confusion for our employees. And so that is an annual stipend that they can earn if they have one of these specialty certificates. Again, you'll see the language about Classroom Site Fund and that they are eligible for performance pay as well. And then at the bottom, we wanted to add the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistant salary schedule to the Certified Occupational Therapy salary schedule. And that is a classified hourly position. We call them CODAs. And you'll notice here as well that they are part of that group of the classroom site funds. And those funds have been added into the min and the max for this particular group. They are also eligible for performance pay. Next, we'll go to the certified speech pathologist. Thank you. Once again here, you'll see in red that the salaries have embedded classroom site funds. And you'll also notice that we have the classified speech therapists, which are classified exempt employees. They are also eligible for the classroom site fund, and their salaries have been adjusted to add that in as well. And they are also eligible for performance pay. Next, we'll go to the school psychologist salary schedule. Thank you. And again, very similar to what we've seen in the past, all of our related service providers do fall in that category of the newly eligible positions for Classroom Site Fund. So we have added that Fund 11 and 13 into their base salaries, which has increased those salaries. And they are also eligible for performance pay. So we'll be working through all of these evaluations so that we're ready to go. And they'll be working on a student learning objective, much like our teachers will. Next, if we go to the initial classified hourly placement schedule. The only change we made here was at the very bottom. We took off the LPN because if you remember, or you'll see here in just a few minutes that we've added that LPN to the nurse salary schedule. It made more sense since it's part of our nursing category. And that is the only change here. If we go next to the initial classified exempt salary schedule. The big change here at the bottom, you'll see special temporary, and we've added this additional grade that's in relation to very specific and technical, non-permanent positions that may be funded out of special grants or a special funding source. For example, we have a couple of positions in the ESSER grant that are very technical. Once approved, we went out and looked at what salary ranges would be out in market, and we have added this additional line item. And again, it would be something that would go to cabinet. It is ESSER approved or a special grant, temporary for that period of that grant, and specific only to those categories. The other thing you'll notice that there are some adjustments in red in the second column up to 7 years. We did find some mathematical errors, and we wanted to make sure as we were reviewing that we fix those errors. Next, if you go to the school nurse salary schedule, there, thank you. And once again, our nurses and our LPNs are part of the Classroom Site Fund, the newly eligible category. So their salaries have also now, will have the Fund 11 and Fund 13, the Classroom Site Fund. You'll see that we did add the LPN, which is a licensed practical nurse. There are a few schools that will have a licensed practical nurse and other schools that may have a registered nurse. The licensed practical nurse is a classified position, and we have added the Classroom Site Fund in there as well. And both of these positions are eligible for performance pay. Next, the transportation hourly placement schedule. Thank you. And there are no changes. This was brought forth earlier in the year. The only changes we are making is to the year, and then hopefully with board approval tonight, the date. If you would please go to the coaching and extra duty activities. Any items here are items where we were, I want to look first on page 1. If you notice that we go down to the wrestling coaches, we wanted to make sure that we were in alignment both with our boys coaching for wrestling and girls. So we did remove a boys coach. We are just changing the names of varsity head coach wrestling for boys. We will have a wrestling assistant coach for boys, and then we have a wrestling head coach for girls and a wrestling assistant coach. In looking through any of the other changes, any of changes that you will have seen were part of the previous presentation and items that were approved by our budget team and through cabinet. The one area I did want to look at, if we go to page 6, due to the fact that our psychologist, if you notice that there was down towards the bottom, there was a psychologist stipend in the amount of $2,500. And that was given previously as we were working through the needs and trying to get psychologists. But because they are now eligible for the Classroom Site Fund, where they are getting an additional approximately $3,000 added into their base salary, as well as being eligible for performance pay, it was the recommendation of our special ed director that we remove that stipend because we are very competitive with our other districts. So I did want to make note of that. And then last but not least, we're going to go to the hourly and special assignment salary schedule. And there are just some minor changes here. If you notice, we wanted to add in that we had talked about effective April 14th, 2022, that the board approved the temporary extension of assigned work calendars to get us through this summer and going through July 31st of 2022. And then any other minor changes are on page 3. We want to quickly scroll through there. And with that, those are the salary schedules that we're proposing for recommendation and approval for the 2022-2023 school year.
Thank you, Ms. Vesely. Board members, questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
None at this time.
Dr. Sorensen?
I do have a question. I apologize. It's not in red, so you probably explained this as a previous explanation. When in a certified teacher contract, and we give up to 7 years if it's not hard to fill, how do you determine what a year is worth without the horizontal year pay scale? How do you determine that?
We have some spreadsheets that were started prior to my time and prior to Dr. Davison's time, where we have a pay scale for elementary. I believe the elementary is about 1.5% across and 1.5% down. We have 6 through 12, which is, I want to say, about 2% across and 2% down. Then we also have a hard to fill, which is 3% across and 3% down.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that we would like to look at for next year with the certified salary schedule is we recognize that we have a min, but we don't have that max. We don't have that range. And I think those are some items that we need to take back to our budget team for discussion. And we realize that that's an area that I think we would like to be able to fully show what that range could look like, because sometimes it might be misleading, or we have prospective teachers that are asking, hey, what's that max, or what does 7 years look like? I think for us, because we have a range of elementary to high school, we've always started with that min. But again, what we'd like to do is take that back to our budget team and have discussions about how we do that for the certified salary schedule.
For like initial placement, you're talking, Max?
Initial placement, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Ms. Underhill?
I had a couple questions. So these placement schedules, they're placed online, right, for public consumption, for people to look at when they're looking to be, hired in our district. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so that's what I'm wondering. I know that, I've seen other ones where they do kind of give that information about the per year rate. And also they give a little bit of an indication as to what the level of performance pay might be. I guess I'm just wondering if, there's been any consideration of potentially putting those things out there so that people can, sort of evaluate the compensation package a little bit more, just to give them the full picture of what the possibilities are.
Yes, I think those are definitely conversations that we want to be able to take back to the budget team. There has been conversation about what that looks like. I know that we share when we make those new hire calls, we do talk about the initial salary schedule. We talk about performance pay and the amount that they will receive, that they could earn up to. It's not a guarantee that you'll earn $28. It's the guarantee that you will earn up to $2,800. And then we also talk about our professional growth where you can earn $75 a credit for master level or higher for certified teachers. So we do go through that when we make those calls, but I think those are some great recommendations.
Yeah, that's great. I just think that, with people looking around, that they would definitely, it would be valuable to have as much information as we possibly can out there about, the potential earnings within the district. And then I just had a question, a follow-up to Dr. Sorensen. So is there a particular reason why a different percentage is assigned to elementary and high school, or whatever you said in regard to determining the rate of the 7 years?
Yes, there is. Thank you, President Sandoval and members of the board. When we look at the elementary salary schedule and we look at high school teachers often have to have a specific content area, and they have to have some specific tests, and there's some additional schooling that they might need to have. And so I think this had been approved prior to my time, prior to Dr. Davidson's time. That has been carried over since probably about 2014, I want to say.
I understand that. I think that might be another area to potentially look at, just because I know, especially a while ago, that earlier grades were, requiring like early education specialties, et cetera, for the early grades and those kinds of things. So it might be wise to just kind of consider that and look at if we might want to just look at it to see if that still, is working across those different levels.
I do think that will be part of our compensation study and ideas that we're going to be bringing back. Thank you for that. I think we also will look at how our other districts are doing that and where their elementary teachers fall and where their high school teachers may fall as well. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Representative Pingarelli?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So I've got a couple questions. Going back to the certified occupational therapists, now that there's a requirement to have a master's degree, right? And that's why we struck the bachelor's degree. Is that correct? Did I listen correctly?
That is correct. In order to become certified, you either have to have a master's degree, and I believe with the physical therapist that you would now have to have a doctorate's degree.
Okay. And I believe we've talked about this, but when did that requirement, I guess, come to life, if you will, where you're to be a certified occupational therapist, you had to have a master's degree? And where I'm headed is, do we have individuals who had their bachelor's who were fulfilling that role and now are required to have that master's position? How are we working with them or supporting them if they wish to, continue their development through continued education to get that master's degree and stay in that role? Are there ways that the district can support them to, another position, right? And then they go to school and get their master's while working, or any other supports? I guess my overall question is, are there any individuals that were in that situation? If there were, do we have individuals that want to get their master's, and how are we supporting them to do so?
What I'd like to do is to be able to get a little more information from our special ed director, and I can bring that back to you in a Friday report. I don't believe we have any with that bachelor's degree. We typically will hire anyone with a master's degree. I want to say the physical therapist needing the doctorates, I think was probably right around 2020, 2021, but I'd like to be able to bring that back to you.
Okay, perfect. And then next question is just in and around our food services and maintenance. We've talked about it before. I just want to keep it top of mind. We have a stipend for our nationally board certified teachers. I think it would be great, as we take a look at our, world-class compensation package, that I think we have and that we continue to grow. But from our classified food services maintenance, are there opportunities, where they grow professionally and get certifications which benefit the district, right? Where there's a stipend, for those certifications. I don't know what they are, and if there are those opportunities out there, from understand there are certifications like heavy equipment, et cetera, or HVAC certifications, right, for our maintenance guys. And I think in the food services area, there's something similar as well. I mean, just taking a look at those other opportunities, especially from we're all kind of talking about attraction and retention. I think those are just some ways that we can, really continue to grow and have great people and bring similar people with similar mindsets and capacity into the district.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, if no further questions, comments, I do need a motion to approve the Peoria Unified Salary Schedules and Extra Duty Special Assignment Salary Schedules for the 2022-2023 school year. I'll move that we approve the salary schedules for the 2022-2023 school year.
I will second.
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by myself and a second by Ms. Hill. If you can run us through a voice vote.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Sandoval. Representative Pingarelli.
Aye.
President Sandoval.
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill.
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Ms. Vesely, thank you. All right, moving on to 12.6. This is the item that we spoke about earlier in the board meeting. In light of the fact that the grant application is still being reviewed by the state, administration is recommending that we table this item. So any questions, comments? If not, I would like I would need a motion to table 12.6 for a subsequent board meeting.
I move that we table 12.6, the 100-day in-person student instruction in the 2021 school year stipend.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself, to table line item 12.6.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Give me just a moment.
Absolutely, take your time.
Representative Pingarelli.
Aye.
President Sandoval.
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill.
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Ms. Contra, for working with us on that. All right, moving on to section 13, discussion items 13.1, the Cognia accreditation and certification. Dr. Davidson, how are you, sir?
All right, sir. Good evening, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, and team and guests out there and online. This opportunity to present our Cognia accreditation has been 5 years in the works, so we're really excited tonight, Ms. Hobbs and I, just to celebrate the work of our team, students, community on behalf of district accreditation. She's not here with us tonight, but retired team member Dr. Kendra Bell was instrumental in helping put this all together for us. So I just wanted to give her a shout out and celebrate the work that was put into what you're going to hear about tonight. So with that said, I'll introduce Ms. Marla Hobbs, our Executive Director for Curriculum and Instruction. And we have a little presentation for you tonight, and certainly we'll both be up here to answer any questions that you may have. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hobbs, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds. It is a privilege to come before you this evening to celebrate our Cognia accreditation. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the background of how accreditation happens and why it's so important. So we did a systems review, which means Cognia examines the whole institution, not just one particular school. It looks at the programming, the culture, the community of stakeholders have input, and also determine how well the parts all work together. It determines to look at meeting the needs of all of our learners and how we are doing towards that. And we tried as hard as we could because of COVID and because of our short staffing, because of illness and such. Dr. Bell and our team, we took it upon ourselves to do the bulk of the work here as much as we could to keep it away from having the schools the extra burden of doing this. But I do want to concur with Dr. Davidson. It was a team effort and everyone participated, and we were very, very thankful for that. In order for us to do accreditation, it really looks at leveraging educational quality and continuous improvement. So it allows other individuals who are Cognia certified to come in and look at use their rigorous standards to evaluate our whole institution, our programs, and our perceptions of how our community feels that we are doing to meet the needs of learners. It also ensures that our post-secondary institutions deem our students' diploma. That means that they have the rigorous standards and have the highest quality educational experience within the Peoria Unified School District. Our accreditation process was no small task. The review looked at data collected from over 2,000 classroom walkthroughs. We looked at all 42 schools. It took 22 teams, 3 weeks to get all of those classroom observations done. 400 pieces of evidence were uploaded representing the work of the district over the last 5 years and uploaded into Cognia's document system. 43 diagnostics were taken, which means 42 site diagnostics were done. They were done by the principals, and there were 5 questions in regards to learning, goals, safety. And then administrators, teachers, and students from 6 elementaries and 3 high schools were interviewed in this process. It really was a year-long process of accreditation. Like we said, we started in the spring of 2021 and received our final approval just this April. So each standard is measured and rated. So the learning domain looks at things like positive and productive teacher and student relationships, high expectations and standards in the classroom, a challenging and engaging curriculum, solid assessment practices that monitor student achievement and evaluate quality evaluation processes to impact the learning culture, and it looks at programs to support students. The leadership domain includes fidelity to commitment to the district's vision and strategic plan, and effectiveness of governance and leadership to enable the institution to realize its objectives. The ability to involve stakeholders and the capacity to implement strategies that improve learner and educational performance are also looked at. The resource capacity domain, distribution of resources to support the stated mission of the district. The needs of all learners are addressed, and we provide professional learning for all staff. So we are rated in 3 different levels. The initiating rating means that there are actions that are still needed by the institution to achieve better results. The improvement one, things that the institution is doing, but there's concerns about sustainability. The district should continue to analyze and use these results to guide improvements in student achievement and organizational effectiveness. And the impacting domain is the desired practices are deeply entrenched in the district, and the institution has demonstrated ongoing growth and improvement over time. Some insights from the review. They appreciated the fact that we had methods to leverage data to drive increased student outcomes. They really complemented our professional development plan, how thorough it was, and how we gave a lot of opportunity for teachers to select the path of professional development that they wanted to engage in. Also engaging internal and external stakeholders in decision makings through site council, superintendent and board committees, etc. And we have processes in place to make sound decisions. There were 2 areas scored at the initiating level and in the phase of the improvement journey. So standard 2.2, the learning culture promotes creativity, innovation, and collaborative problem solving. But I believe that we're already addressing some of those through our strategic plan. Standard 2.4, the system has formal structures to ensure learners develop positive relationships and have an adult to support their educational experiences. This really focuses on positive relationships between students, peers, teachers, and that has been initiated through restorative practices, student activities, sporting events, etc. So they were, like I said, they were really impressed with the reset of our strategic plan and they look forward to our continuous mission to improve student learning and program effectiveness. So at this time, I want to congratulate everyone, our community, our administrators, our teachers, our students. I appreciate the length of time and the efforts that were made for us to complete this work. It was great work. It was a lot of hard work, but it was well worth it. And we've learned through this process, and we did receive our accreditation. At this time, I'll stand for any questions.
Well, like the slide says, congratulations. That is fantastic. Great job. Board members, questions, comments? Dr. Reynolds, you want to say something real quick?
Ms. Hobbs is very generous in her compliments of the entire team, and the entire district did a wonderful job. But I just want to again highlight the work that she did along with Dr. Bell. Their approach this year to this accreditation process was appreciated by principals and staff across the district because they did a significant portion of that lift, and I want to thank them for their exemplary work.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Ms. Hobbs, thank you. Ms. Hill?
Well, I'm glad we got accreditation. We stay open, yes? So kind of need it. So that's awesome. I guess the only question I had was there was a slide, I guess it's 5 of 8. It mentions what are the ratings and what do they mean? Well, I was wondering, do we get a specific rating? Do we have I mean, obviously we have accreditation, so I don't know if it's like a pass-fail deal, but it mentions the rating. So do we have a rating? And if so, what is our rating?
Mrs. Hill, members of the board, yes, we did, and it's part of the Cognia packet that is part of the board packet that's in there tonight, and it goes and outlines. We actually scored much higher this year on our accreditation than we did even 5 years ago. So we are, I believe 4 is the sweet spot as far as perfection, and we were in the high 3s. So 3.8, something like that. So we did a really good job, and like I said, it was a collective effort, which was nice, and we all got the opportunity to hear and learn and grow through the process.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Dr. Sorensen?
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Underhill?
Yeah, I would just say the same thing. Thank you so much. I mean, doing this after, the tumultuous couple of years that we've had just really speaks to the desire of the district to continue to grow and to continue to get better and hold itself accountable. And, that should really be recognized, especially, like I say, during the last couple of years. So definitely appreciate that, and do definitely appreciate you kind of helping ensure that our schools didn't feel overburdened by the process. But you kept it up despite all the challenges that we faced. The only question I had is I know there's a section in the report that talks about next steps, and I just wondered, do you anticipate doing, kind of some updates as far as, the plans made to just improve the couple of areas where we wanted to work on? Sure.
President Sandoval, Ms. Underhill, I just want to redirect it. I don't know if you can see the slides tonight, but there's one that Ms. Hobbs had that's just kind of as a response to your question, and it says continuous improvement on it, and that's something that we have taken to heart over this last semester, and we'll continue to do that. We'd love to demonstrate our continuous improvement process at some point with the board, but just know that we continue to collect data, Cognia being one piece of that data, and then making decisions based on that. So we know we have a variety of things inside that Cognia data set that we can work on and improve, such as even our PLC process. That's part of overall continuous improvement. The other thing that we need to mention, I believe we will have a follow-up in just about 2 years where we'll have to come back and have conversation with the Cognia team on what we have done and where we are headed for the remainder of the 3 years after that.
Oh, that's great. That's excellent. And the only other thing I noticed that it did say to celebrate the success, and I know that you all have, haven't you put together some type of a recognition that each of the schools will be posting, or how are you, ensuring that we are in fact celebrating our success?
Actually, Mrs. Underhill, we have a framed accreditation certificate for every site. Actually, our accreditation certificate is on the wall here in the boardroom. So we will be celebrating with all of our school teams and telling them thank you for the great work and looking forward to what we need to do in the future to continuously improve.
That's awesome. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Representative Pingarelli?
No, I just want to say thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you, Representative Pingarelli. So the accreditation, Ms. Ari, is that a logo mark or something that we have on our website or that we can put on our website, like a little accredited Cognia style?
President Sandoval, yes, we certainly will be getting all of that up on our website about the time that we are providing the frame certificates that Ms. Hobbs shared to all of our schools.
Gotcha, very cool. Yeah, no, it's definitely an achievement, an accolade that everybody should be proud of, and we should leverage all of our communication channels to make sure that the community understands really the mindset of excellence, that we hold as a district. As you're going through the slides and, words that were popping out to me, around collaboration and continuous improvement and environment and culture. And that's right. I mean, we get the environment right and the culture right. I mean, we'll attract and retain great associates and, continue to be successful in our charge to ensure that our students again, leave these walls in a very confident and adaptable way. So congratulations again. I mean, I know it was a ton of work. And like Ms. Underhill stated, I mean, to realize this accreditation, 3.8 out of 4, going through what we've gone through, over the last, I say 2 years, but now I think we're going on 3. It's just unparalleled. And, congratulations again, and thank you, for all that you do. Thank you. So, all right. No further questions, comments. We will move on to 13.2, Citizens Bond and Advisory Committee updates. Ms. Myers, welcome back.
Thank you, and good evening again. President Sandoval, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Reynolds. This evening, I will present an update related to the Citizens Advisory Bond Committee. In late January, the Governing Board reconvened the 2020 Citizens Advisory Committee with the stated purpose to make a recommendation to the Governing Board regarding calling for a bond election on November 8th, 2022. In addition, if the recommendation of the committee is that the district should go out for a bond, the committee will also recommend amounts to correspond with the recommendation. The initial committee consisted of 11 members representing parents, the community, and the district. And we do note that we did have one member early on that did resign. The 2020 Citizens Advisory Committee served as the basis for this year's committee, and of course, our superintendent was directed to add new members to replace non-returning members or to add a member for perspective. And so our committee is there on the slide for your review. And we've had 5 committee meetings to date. And in fact, the last meeting was just last night. And the meetings are open to the public. Our agendas and meeting minutes are published for our community on Board Docs. So anyone who's interested can see what we have been covering as a committee to date. With the meetings that we've had, we started off providing foundational background information for the committee. That included covering our committee process timeline, open meeting law requirements, the scope and purpose of the committee, as well as an overview of property taxes and assessed valuations. We also reviewed the 2020 facility assessment and utilization study that was conducted a couple of years ago. In addition, we've reviewed past bond authorizations, the totals as well as the category amounts. new construction, technology, transportation vehicles, for example. We've also reviewed the School Facilities Board and the criteria to qualify for funding for a new high school, and we've had outside experts come in to assist us with that review process and the presentations, as well as we've looked at past election results going back many years, and then we did a deep dive into looking at the 2020 election. We've also looked at current data. We were provided direction as administration to conduct a public opinion poll and information related to a potential bond election, priorities from our community, responses, impressions from the community, as well as areas of focus if there were to be a bond election, types of bond projects that perhaps were a priority compared to others. So that information was shared with our committee. We also had a presentation on current enrollment and demographic trends and data going out 10 years. Mr. Molino provided an update on the work that's been done over the last couple of years related to school repurposing and the 3 elementary schools that are being considered right now. We provided updated information on technology needs, new computers, infrastructure that are projected out for the next 5-7 years, as well as buses, student transportation, vehicles that we'll need to purchase to replace aging buses over the next 7 years. Updated costs related to new school construction, high school, elementary, as well as the cost if we were to purchase land for our next high school. So all of that information has been shared with the committee over the last 5 years, I almost said 5 years, 5 meetings. We also looked at based on the size of a potential bond authorization, the impact on the tax rate for the community. And so with all of that information, our committee is going to be meeting again next week. Prior to that meeting, as you'll note, we've been providing updates to the governing board through Friday reports through this whole process, as well as this update this evening. We believe our committee will complete their work next Wednesday on the 18th to finalize a recommendation, and then administration does plan to provide a comprehensive review of the 6 meetings, a much more in-depth presentation than tonight at an upcoming study session in advance of May 26th, which was the date that we set in the beginning that our committee would make a recommendation on or before May 26th to the governing board on next steps. And then once that final report has been tendered, the committee will terminate, and that will conclude their work. And with that, that is the summary of the presentation, of the summary work that we've done. And Mr. Molino and I at this time are available to answer your questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Mr. Molino, questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
No comments at this time.
Dr. Sorensen? No, sir. Ms. Underhill?
I just want to say thank you again, and thank you so much to the committee members, because that's no small task, and just really appreciate you doing it with everything else that's going on. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Representative Pingarelli?
No comments, but yeah, I just want to say actually, thank you to the committee members. I know it does take a lot of time out of their other lives, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Pingarelli. And yeah, I'll echo those statements. I think for me, it's, I've always said it, we needed a bond before I was elected in 2016, and, and the expense is greater. Here we are today, with those needs. But, yeah, it's, we have some growing sites without question, and, in an effort to maintain our tradition of excellence and every student every day, and, and give our students that opportunity to be successful in manageable classrooms for our teachers. I mean, this is a grand opportunity for us to take a look at that. So I appreciate the time and really the diligence that you put in to take a look at, really turn over all the rocks and look at all the corners and understand, even with our sites that are, in Old Town Peoria, right? those legacy sites that, where the district started and their needs, as we continue to serve those communities. So thank you for just being inclusive of, our entire district, and just really looking forward to understanding what comes out of all the work that's been done. And I believe we have a session coming up, if I'm not mistaken, 23rd. That includes, more details around the bond. So looking forward to that. So just thank you, Mr. Molino, you, team, Ms. Myers, and thank all the committee members for, taking the time to take a look at, the question around the bond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. All right, moving on to informational reports. 14.1, report on upcoming meetings and events.
President Sandoval, nothing to add at this time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Eric. 14.2, legislative, state, and local updates. Ms. Myers?
Thank you, President Sandoval, members of the governing board. I don't have an update this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 14.4, district budget report for the month of March 2022. This report and the subsequent reports are on our website. 14.5, district enrollment report for the month of March 2022 on our website. Other business, board member opportunity to readdress agenda items. Ms. Hill, any items that you'd like to readdress?
No, thank you.
Dr. Sorensen? No, sir. Ms. Underhill?
No, thank you.
Representative Pingarelli?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any either. 15.2, request for agenda items for future governing board meetings. Ms. Hill, any items?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sorensen?
No, sir.
Ms. Underhill?
No, thank you.
Representative Pingarelli?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. I just have one item, and it could be a Friday report. Just looking at the HR report, and just if we can get a look on, or look at, our teacher resignations, the end of the year resignations, and how that compares to, even pre-pandemic, right? Is it kind of average? Is it more than? And what that looks like going into the next academic year as far as, open seats, open classrooms, right? Just need a second for that.
I will second.
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Contra. So yeah, there's the request, and Ms. Hill second the ask. Thank you, Ms. Hill. All right, that said, just need a motion to adjourn
I move that we adjourn.
at 8:35. I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Hill, a second by myself. If you can run us through a voice vote, that'd be great.
Mrs. Pingarelli?
Aye.
President Sandoval?
Aye.
Mrs. Underhill?
Aye.
Dr. Sorensen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members and cabinet and community member. Thank you for have a great evening.